What's on? Oh, you're all here? Yeah, you're right.
Okay, at 6 p.m., we'll call the meeting to order. If everyone will, please stand. We'll say the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance, and Dr. Whaley will lead us in both.
Heavenly Father, we come before you today with humility and faith. We thank you for the blessings that you have given us, and we thank you for the things that you have done working in our lives and those of our citizens. We thank you for this community. We ask for your guidance and our strength. Show us the way. Fill us with courage and wisdom. Help us remember your love and grace and be faithful in our service to you. Give us patience and understanding in face of the challenges, and give us the grace to face them. We ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the third item on the agenda, we'll have approval of minutes from the previous meeting. Do we have an approval or a motion to approve minutes from August the 2nd, or 20th, 2024?
I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay. September the 23rd, 2024, special call minutes. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the September 23rd, 24 special call council meeting minutes.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Okay. Next is approval of agenda or motion to amend the agenda, and I would ask that we would add executive session to the agenda, as well as removing 5B. The applicant has given a written request to delay consideration of the application until the November meeting. Is there a motion?
I move that we have executive session, that you remove item B from 5B.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Did you vote, Jack?
I did not.
Okay.
I'd like to amend it if possible. Is it possible to amend it?
We
Well,
will
we've
have
already had the vote. There were 3 votes.
3 yes. Yeah, those 3 voted yes.
Do you want to add something else?
I want to remove something else.
I think you can do that.
Well,
Chuck,
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to make another motion.
I
Well,
make a motion.
that one
And
did,
also, to make sure we're clear here, you're requesting that because I'm not sure if Bill understands, that we go into executive session, right? Or I put it on and go into
yes, I would
executive
like to go into executive session to discuss the finance director. I do have an applicant I want to discuss with you all, and it needs to be in private because he is currently employed. So we do need to do that in confidence with in executive session. We are in dire need of a finance director, so I would not see why anyone would object to doing that.
Okay, I was only saying yes to the 5B. As for the executive session, I'm not going into executive session.
For what reason?
Attorney?
Is that the only thing you have in executive session that you want to go into?
I would like,
Actually,
yes, there would be more, yeah.
okay, so let's go back. So what's the motion what's
Right.
the motion?
Okay, yeah.
I think right now, what's been approved is the agenda as presented without item 5B and adding an executive session. But
Okay.
based on the discussion, I think it sounds like another.
But I
motion.
believe when we just voted, you voted yes, and you voted yes. So it was 3-2. So it passed. Regardless of what it was, Bill, you voted yes. So the motion passes and we're adding those. Okay.
Okay, well, I want to make a motion to amend the agenda to remove item 7A from the agenda and remove executive session off the agenda. So I made a motion.
Second.
Okay, let's have a roll call vote.
Wait, we're
Yeah, I'm totally confused now too, so.
Mm.
Yeah, let's have you explain exactly what you want to keep on here, Angie.
I think Bill was a little confused just
I
on
was.
the
So,
motion.
but he did vote, even if he was confused, he
Okay, well,
voted.
then- Okay, fine, then.
So,
But
so,
he said that he said he also agreed to take something off, but he wasn't.
But
for
that-
executive
the
session,
vote
and
has
then
already
pushed it to-
occurred.
Okay, well, I made another
so,
motion.
so now, so we voted to do that, so that was the vote. So it's already done,
It can
Angie.
be undone.
Well, I mean, I think what we have is now a second motion as it
Okay.
relates to the agenda.
To remove
So-
the purchasing.
And,
Hold on, just so everybody's clear on what's on the agenda. I think item 5B has been removed. The new motion is to also remove item 7A and to remove the executive session, if I understand it correctly.
well, here's the thing, does it really even have to be removed? Because we've got to make a motion
would
to go
have
in
to vote to
executive
go
session.
into
So
it.
really, so you can just scratch it off of there to make it simple. So I make a motion to remove 7A from the agenda.
Okay. 7A, okay, since we've had a motion, we'll have discussion. I want to say that the purchasing policy that we're currently using it has over the past year, we've had two policies. One was vetoed, and that veto passed. There was a second purchasing policy that was vetoed, and it was supported again by Dr. Whaley. So we're currently really not functioning. If we revert back according to our consultant, if you have a purchasing policy that is vetoed, it reverts back to the original, and that's what happens because that's the purpose of a veto. So in that case, according to our consultant, the mayor then takes, because the mayor is in charge of day-to-day, would take control over the whoever, if it's a city administrator that is in charge of purchasing policy, which in this case it is, it would then revert to me. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead tomorrow and I will assign people to do that, the purchasing policy because it has been vetoed. And I will go ahead and put myself in the place of the city administrator. So that's fine. We don't have to do it. We'll just keep the same one. That's fine. And I will act in that capacity.
Actually,
Okay.
you're expecting us to take your word on something. Let's see what the attorney has to say about this. Let's see what the attorney has to say about it.
Okay,
So is
let's
what
see.
she said correct?
Well, I've not seen anything from the consultant to the contrary, so that's not been provided to me.
And what consultant are you even talking about?
Mandy.
Oh, okay. I don't recall us asking her to get involved in a purchasing policy. So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, Chuck.
In my opinion, it is true that the subsequent purchasing ordinances having been vetoed, that we still operate under the purchasing policy that was approved by the mayor and council in 2022 or whenever it was
Okay.
approved.
Thank you.
However, this council has voted to give interim authority to whoever that authority was given to, and I'd be the first to admit that I've now forgotten because it's been, several meetings ago. And that's where we stand unless and until something is done differently.
Okay, so that purchasing policy was done by ordinance. The ordinance was vetoed. So how could they change it verbally?
It hasn't been changed. It's just that the authority that was given to the city administrator in that adopted purchasing policy has now, on an interim basis, been given to someone else
How could that happen?
by vote of the council.
Okay, even though it's done by ordinance, would the ordinance not have to change as the charter says?
The ordinance hasn't changed.
Exactly.
There is no more city administrator. And so by vote of this council, the authority that once belonged to the city administrator now belongs on an interim basis to the people to whom it was given. That's my
That's your opinion? Yeah. And I think Mandy's opinion, she's also an attorney, and she had given an opposite opinion, and that was
I
for.
haven't seen Mandy's opposite opinion.
That was actually for yet another ordinance that we've discussed. It was for the alcohol ordinance because the city administrator signed off of it, and she said through her experience and opinion, she's been city manager, she has a degree in law, that also that it would revert back to the mayor, to the person in charge if the city administrator is no longer there. So,
May I ask a point of order, please?
please.
This policy that has been proposed is the model policy of the Georgia Municipal Association for cities of our size. Is that correct or not correct?
It is my understanding it is based on that, plus some of the points that she has put into this ordinance are based on her experience as being both the city manager and
So
an
that
attorney.
leads to my next question, and that next question was, this then was the work product of the consultant that we have hired. Sorry.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, now my third,
Oh, that's what that is.
I don't know.
Would someone like to make a motion to
The
extend?
ringer's turned off, so that's, okay.
Yeah.
That now brings me to my third point.
Okay,
Oh, the 5 minutes is up, so we need to vote to extend the time.
My third point was this. I did make a recommendation that we have a workshop and a meeting to discuss things of this sort and have in the GMA
yeah,
and have in Mandy, who we pay.
yes.
And I think that this discussion
Doc,
would,
with all due respect, the 5 minutes is up, and we need to keep with our policy, so if you wanna extend your time, we need to vote to do that. That's with all due respect, Doc.
well,
You're really tight on policy, so if we're gonna do it, let's obey it.
is the 5 minutes up?
It has been.
Okay, then, all right, then in that case, I would move that we extend the policy for 30 seconds.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, all opposed? Okay, so we will move on to the next topic then.
And
So,
just so we're clear, so that was all as part of the discussion to approve the agenda. So where we stand is that the agenda as presented has been approved with the following changes. Item 5B has been removed. Item 7A has been removed. We did not designate an area on the agenda for the executive session, but I'm assuming if the vote is there to go into it, it would be item 10 after public comment?
okay, yeah. And if not, I can discuss it under personnel, it's no big deal. We'll just not use names or workplaces, et cetera, so, okay. So we had a second, and I guess we need to vote on that at this point. So we'll just do a roll call vote on that.
What exactly are we voting on, so everybody's clear, please, Mayor?
As he just stated, Angie made the motion to remove 7A, to remove 5B, and she wanted to remove the executive session, but we're going to keep it on there, and then you guys can vote whether you want to go into it or not. So that would be your motion.
Yeah,
Yep.
we've already voted for 5B.
Yeah, I know that, but
So
she put it back in there, yeah.
remove 7A.
Yeah.
Angie made the motion,
Yeah.
Jack second.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Are we ready? Okay, Dr. Whaley,
No.
Angie,
Yes.
okay, Jack,
Yes.
Christie,
No.
okay, Bill?
Yes.
Okay. So moving on to the next item, the millage rate. This will be a public hearing, so we will open it up for a public hearing at this time. And we had our first public hearing last month, and this one we will actually adopt it, so we will formally vote this time. So we'll open it up for a 10-minute discussion. Is there anyone who would like to talk in favor or opposed to our current proposed millage rate? No one? Okay. We will close public comment, or is the council ready to vote?
I move we approve the millage rate.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, let's have a roll call vote on this one. Bill Bivens,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
and Angie,
Yes.
and Dr. Whaley.
Yes.
Okay. That's good. Got that one behind us. Okay, the next item will go to, since we removed 5B, action items, personnel. So there are 3 items there I'd like to discuss. The first one, of course, we've lost our finance director, and we were wanting to move Heather Burke to full-time, 40 hours a week, so she can work on accounts payable. So that would be the first item. Let's have a motion for Heather.
So let's get that straight. So we're gonna hire a finance director, and then we're gonna move somebody up 40 hours in accounts payable. I was under the impression that it was for her to fill in until we got a finance director. So
Well, you
do
can make
we
that, you
really
can
need to
certainly, you
move
can
her
make
up,
that motion.
or do we need to, I mean?
Well, we
what-
certainly need someone right now, 40 hours a week, but you can certainly make the motion if you don't want to keep her at
So we
that.
we could move her then to full-time, and then we can think about this, it'll give us a little time on a finance director.
We have to have a finance
Yeah,
director.
oh
We
yeah,
have
of course,
to.
I know that,
Yeah.
but
So-
it'll give us a little time, right? Is that why we're doing this?
Well, we're doing this because I do have someone to recommend to you guys, but they're very hard, qualified finance directors are very hard to find. I do want to present someone to you that I hope you hire, but in the interim, we are going to need Heather 40 hours a week, and I've been allowing
Okay.
her to work 40 hours a week, so.
Okay.
So does anyone have a problem with that?
No, if that's your recommendation, I recommend it. Do we have to approve it?
Yeah.
I recommend that we approve Heather Burke for a full-time temporary position as finance director.
Or as, not finance director,
Excuse
but accounts
To help.
payable.
Accounts payable.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that one.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The second item is Gerald Fortenberry. He's been working for the city for quite some time. He started it with the water department, has moved over to the parks, and since Joe is currently, he's a little bit overextended himself. He was the previous, worked in parks, but now he's doing full-time, he is a full-time city clerk. He also does HR, and he's assisting me with day-to-day. So he's got his hands full, and he's still supervising the park. So what I want to do is ask that Gerald Fortenberry be placed in the position of park supervisor, and we remove that from Joe's plate and let Gerald be the park supervisor.
So you need a motion?
And Joe,
Please.
yeah, I mean, this is good with you, of course, you've worked with him, yeah. So
You're good
okay.
with Gerald, Joe?
Gerald's top notch.
Okay,
Right. And Joe and I have talked about that, and he recommended him as well, so,
I make
Okay.
that motion.
okay?
Second.
Okay, let's do a roll call vote on that one. Bill Bivens,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Angie?
yes.
And Bill.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I think he'll make a very good, he'll do a great job for us. Okay, the next one, we do have we've received, gosh, how many applications? Probably 15 maybe, possibly, but really no one who truly has a degree in municipal finance. So what I did, I went back to when we hired the one who just left us. We had actually interviewed another person who wants to retire to this area, and I'm not going to be able to give his name because he is still currently working for a city, and I had Joe send you guys his resume today. He's the one we offered the job to last year, and he ended up not being able to find housing, and he felt it was going to be too expensive to move. So he is interested in the position. He's a supervisor, has been over 35 people. He is a finance director for his city, which is a large city. He has all the degrees you could ever possibly imagine with municipal finance, and he is willing to relocate. But he does require a certain amount of salary. We are currently paying James $84,000. I believe that was the final $84,000, some odd number. And he does require, I would suggest he wants 130,000 a year, but, and that is common for finance directors of his caliber. But I would say that if we could discuss, and that's why I wanted to discuss this in executive session, what we would be able to give him. Because he is qualified, he could start, he wouldn't be able to start immediately because he would have to give a notice and find housing, but I would think within a month or two he could start.
How long,
So-
how long has this been advertised, Joe? How long has it been advertised?
We put it on, about 2 days after James gave me his 2 weeks
Yeah.
notice.
And it's been about a week ago, a little while?
No, that's
Okay.
been probably 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay,
Going on 3
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah, it's been a while. And we've put it on every major, it's just so hard to find someone. So I spoke with Mandy yesterday. She has a consultant who may work with us getting through our current audit. And the consultant, although she said and she let me know, she goes, you can hire a consultant to help you, but you really need someone there full-time because it is very expensive to have a consultant in this capacity. She goes, you're going to spend over a 12-month period a lot more money than what we would even consider giving this gentleman. But I think you get what you pay for. And, he's very well qualified if you looked at his resume. And Eric, when he interviewed him, thought he was just, perfect for the job as well. But I would just need a number to present back to him if you're not willing to give him the 130,000.
This is best done in executive session, but I would ask the
Yes.
same question. If any of the places he's worked, people have been contacted that are not on his list of
Mhm.
recommendations,
Correct.
such that they are cold called, and the answer to that is yes,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay.
Has anybody else talked to him? Anybody?
Did you guys talk
Maybe.
to him last year?
I don't remember.
I don't think so.
I would think we should wait, and anybody that wants to talk to him, and then just think about what possibly, and then maybe some more applications will come in. Might even see what it would cost to have a consultant.
Yeah, we are
Since we've hired Heather, and Heather can do a lot. She might not can do the city portion of it, or the
Audit.
municipal finance portion of it, but I don't think we have to do right now. We don't have to make a decision right now.
I think that if the longer you let it go, when Alicia first left, she worked with us when we all started, and we were without someone for a few months. We got so behind, it took us over a year to catch up. When Lisa started with us, it took forever for us just to simply get caught up to where we needed to be. This is not a position you can say, oh, we're going to wait, we've got to act quickly. In fact, when I heard about it, I called Joe immediately and said, we've got to get this on because we've got to find somebody. And this isn't something, if you wait, you are going to get more and more and more behind.
Well, if the council's willing to it's
Can I,
y'all
could-
willing to pay that much.
can I
sure.
say something?
Mhm.
All right, I've been on lots of boards, and I've been in many situations like this. You can't train somebody internally to have the skill set that's required to be a finance director. And in business, I used to be on the audit committee of a New York Stock Exchange traded companies. The SEC said, unless you have a finance degree, or an MBA in business, or have been a officer in a financial institution, you cannot serve in that capacity. I'd done it for 15 years. So I was removed from that capacity. I would say that us taking our own employee, Heather Burke, and trying to make her a finance director it can't be done. And that this is a big enough business to have a dedicated employee with that label within it, with the appropriate background and credentials, and that to put the business off doesn't make any sense to me, particularly since it's been gone now for near a month. And in our last situation, we had a lot of complaints and we were behind. So I would encourage my colleagues to go to executive session, hammer this out, and hire somebody. And has our discussion gone on longer than 5 minutes? I think it has. It's how long?
16 more seconds, now 10
Wow.
seconds.
Wow, right there at it. So would you guys like to go into executive session then to discuss this?
Well, I don't know of any other choice.
Do you? Are you guys willing to go into it, Jack?
I don't think we need to go to executive session to discuss hiring somebody. I don't think anybody doesn't think we need somebody that's proficient in that position.
Agree.
But I don't wanna jump on the first candidate that comes down the pipe either. I think that if we have somebody that can fill in the basics that we need right now to keep the city running, we have time to look for the proper candidate. Because I'm just gonna say it, nobody else wants to, that we've got a turnover rate like McDonald's.
You know,
And I don't wanna do that again. I don't wanna have this vote again because we don't have somebody in the position that we need to have them in that's qualified, that wants to stay here.
Well, this
Okay,
gentleman
so-
he does want to retire in Blue Ridge. This is his goal, and it's an
I
opportunity.
understand, but I
Yeah.
don't wanna hire the first person that comes down. Doc, you wouldn't. Some guy walks in the door, tells you
No,
what all
I
he
get
is.
it.
We need to make sure, because this is not just a position that we're doing, this is handling the money, the $6 million or so dollars we have here in the city.
I'm not gonna argue with you. I will say that this man was offered the job a year ago.
Right,
By
I
this
understand. He
I'm
was
not
council.
the-
arguing with you, Doc.
Yeah.
I'm just
Okay,
saying that
he
it's
was
a
the
very
candidate
serious
of
thing.
choice once before.
Yeah.
It's,
Say it again,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
he
Doc.
was the candidate of choice once before, and the limit was the economics and the ability to move. Now.
Do we need
so-
a motion to extend?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we extend this for another minute.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
yeah,
Okay.
that's all I wanna say, that he had been the candidate of choice. He was unable to come because of infrastructure. There are 15 or more resumes that have come in over the course of a month. He rises to the top again as the candidate of choice. I'm not against asking Eric to come look at the thing and give it, or Trip
normally
Ritchie
what
or
we do,
somebody.
Doc,
But us talking to him, I'm not sure we didn't talk to him before.
Right.
We did.
And that's why I
I
would like to
don't
go.
remember talking to the.
Well, I don't either, but that's why I'd like to go in executive session to discuss it. But I am
How
not
about getting
going,
him here, and how about getting some other candidates here that we can interview, and we'll discuss them all?
that's fine.
So I would like to say on that, Jack, so far we've had no one apply over almost a 4-week period who has the experience in municipal finance. You say he's the first one. We actually had several last year. We interviewed them. He was our top pick. I've spoken to him numerous times. He's who I would personally, he's who I plan to appoint tonight with your confirmation, just if we could agree on that. So,
Again, this is a very important thing,
It
and
is.
I would like to have more than one in front of me to make that choice for myself.
but if you
I
can
think-
find,
I
please,
think that's
then,
our duty.
then I'll tell you what I will do. I would like for you, if you will, I can appoint you to a committee, and I would love for you to spearhead that, if you will. I would appreciate it, seriously. And you find us some, because I'm not having any luck, and I'll admit that. So if you'll do it, I would appreciate it. Will you?
Joe, will you assist me in that endeavor?
Okay. Good
Hey,
luck.
listen, we're a team. Unbeknownst to it, we're a team. We're all a team
Yeah,
up here.
yeah, good luck. And
Last a minute.
pardon?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, and so we'll do that, and you guys come back, and I'll get you his information.
That'll be fine.
That will
I'll be
be
glad to
wonderful.
interview him.
Okay,
I have one question.
uh-huh.
On this.
Well,
I know-
we've got over our time. Would you like to make a motion to extend the time, Christie?
Can I make a motion to extend the time?
Yes.
How
Is-
long?
2 minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
I
I'll
will
second it.
absolutely second.
Okay,
that.
all in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Okay,
Aye.
so Christie, you have the floor.
So I know that when we hired I guess the last two, we ended up delegating some of the tasks. Will they get, if we're paying this guy more, it'll go back on him instead of putting it on the other employees?
We just hired somebody to do full-time for accounts payable, so they're probably gonna do a little less.
Okay.
Well, I think what she's talking about, Angie, is a lot of the department heads are putting in their department payrolls, and yes, we would just like Elise used to do, yes, we would do that. We would take that away from the department heads. Yes, definitely, yeah. Anything else, Christie?
You good?
Okay, so I look forward to, Joe and Jack, I look forward to you guys finding us some good applicants.
We're gonna do our best.
Okay, moving right along, I guess we have the budget calendar. The only thing I wanted to do on that was kind of make sure you guys are aware that you need to plan to be here November the 12th for
I
the,
think we missed 6B.
oh, did we? Yeah, I guess we did, didn't we? Oh, Emergency and Disaster Response Fund, sorry about that. So Joe, you actually are the one who kind of started this, aren't you? Would you like to explain it?
Actually, I was the one that started this when I went to Joe and James.
Okay, so would
After-
you like to explain it,
I'd
please?
be more than happy
Yep.
to. I went to Asheville and saw the damage and devastation that was out there and spent some time out there. And I guess the reason I wanted to do this emergency fund was because I don't want to see the same thing happen here in Blue Ridge. I hauled people out 7 miles out of a road that was nearly impassable, walking with their kids, their babies on their back, their children in their arms, with nothing. Going to a place they thought there was gonna be something that had nothing. I'm gonna tell you tonight that I didn't see FEMA. I didn't see FEMA the whole time I was out there. I saw people hungry, cold, tired, dirty, with no place to use the bathroom, no blankets, no food. We took a load of food out, Tanya and I, and in 30 minutes it was gone. We took food and water. What I saw was the community banding together to help each other. What I saw was people that had lost everything and had no place to go. If it can happen there, and it can happen in Florida, it can happen here. We have an account that has $510,000 in it. It's a contingency fund account. I want to make a motion that we turn that into an emergency fund to be used for catastrophic emergencies, so that if something like that happens here, a tornado comes through the city of Blue Ridge, we can help our people immediately without having to wait on FEMA. As I said earlier, we've got a little over $6 million in the budget right now. This account has not done anything since 2015, I believe. Joe, am I correct?
Yes.
So the motion I will be making with the council and mayor's approval is I would like to take that, turn it into an emergency fund to be used strictly for that, catastrophic emergencies. I would like to add $50,000 a year from the budget until we reach $1 million and cap it there. If we have a catastrophic emergency in this city, we will have the funds to help our people in this city. If it means setting up something temporarily, tents, water trucks, food, whatever we need to do, we'll have that. And we'll be able to immediately assist our citizens. So my motion is, if I could go ahead and make it, that we take that fund, turn it into an emergency fund, not to be touched only in case of a catastrophic emergency. We add $50,000 a year to that fund until we reach $1 million and cap it at $1 million. That's my motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and I would like to open this up for discussion because I hadn't really heard about this until Friday either, when Dr. Whaley called me. So on this right now, I know that the money is, we've got $400,000 from the sale of the marina property, and that's what you're referring to, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
And that money is, I talked to Tacey Joe, our auditor, yesterday. It is actually in the general funds, which are used for emergency purposes. Several years ago, we did have a disaster down at Bowling Gap Road, and remember the road washed away. FEMA, GEMA, everybody came in, but we did use our funds up front. And so with FEMA funds, they are in the general funds. That's what Tacey Joe said, that they are there. My only concern about this is that it totally restricts us just to natural disaster emergencies, because a lot of times we have emergencies where there's a water main break, and we have, or just like the one that happened over at Bowling Gap, where we might have to spend $100-something on something that maybe not necessarily is going to be covered by FEMA or GEMA. And my only concern is putting it in that fund strictly for that use. It prohibits it from being out in the general fund where it could be used for that anyway. I mean, I guess I would want a provision in the resolution that says that that this can be altered by a council decision if there is any other sort of emergency that won't, simply restrict it. Do you all see what I'm saying?
Let me ask a question of Jack and the city attorney. I got an agenda for this meeting Thursday that did not have this item on it. I don't believe anybody in this room wants us to have a disaster that we cannot respond to. So my question to the city attorney is, as the fund now exists, does the city council have the authority to immediately declare it needed for tents and water? In other words, to be able to expend it in the fashion in which Jack has so eloquently outlined, without taking it now and changing the name and restricting its use for other purposes.
So the fund, as I understand it currently, is the capital expenditures and contingency fund, and that was created by resolution adopted in 2015. So the answer is, yeah, you could certainly change it at a meeting, just like we're doing tonight, with a vote. It's not something that would require a first or second reading, so.
So this, it is not necessary for this resolution to be passed to use those funds in the fashion in which Jack so eloquently outlined.
Well,
And they would not be restricted from other uses if the city council in its wisdom were to declare that it was needed for something else.
I guess the way I would address that is you would need to have action like what's being proposed tonight.
That's my point.
In order to do it.
We would not be handcuffing ourselves nor future city councils to leave it like it is and put 50,000 in it every year and let it be the known that this is not to be spent on plants and flags, but to be spent for urgent needs. I just don't want to handicap future
either.
city council.
I'm not
Well, let
trying to
me-
handicap anything, Doc. What I'm trying to do is make sure we have something set aside strictly for the citizens inside the city of Blue Ridge.
I don't disagree, except the strictly, because it would be, if we used it for another purpose, it would be for the people in the city. It wouldn't be for the people in McKaysville. It would be for an emergency, and I hesitate to put a box around future city councils and make it, and the future city council could come to a meeting like this and elect to tap it. We've just been told that was so. So that's
The
all I'm gonna
future city
say.
council can actually come and change the resolution to do whatever they want to.
Yeah,
with
I
it.
understand
What
that.
I want to do in the climate that we have right now and the way storms are coming in, I want to make sure that we're protected. And that fund, that one fund is used strictly for the safeguard and welfare of the city residents.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I don't see that will protect us any greater than what we have. It's exactly the same money we're changing the label on, except it's for that purpose only, as you said. And Jack, I have every sympathy for what you're saying. I just don't see that we need to change the label because the fund is there. And the purpose is to be and to use it still requires another city council meeting. So really what you've done here is say that by having another meeting like this one, we can declare that we're gonna use the money. And what's the difference in that and having that other meeting and taking the money from the fund that's now there that would also have legitimate use in other urgencies? And I'll stop there, that's another
Okay,
discussion.
and I do have a point on that too. Okay, do we have a motion to, I think we need to discuss this more probably. Is there a motion to extend
I'll
time?
make a motion to extend the time.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
I would like to say too, how would this, or ask the question, how would this relate to our purchasing policy? Because obviously if there's a natural disaster, if you're thinking, okay, we're gonna go out and buy tents and we're gonna go buy all this stuff, is there, and what do we declare an emergency or a natural disaster? I mean, what are those definitions and how are they gonna relate to the purchasing policy?
I didn't have any problem realizing that there was a catastrophic emergency when I pulled up and there were dead bodies laying everywhere. I didn't need anybody, I didn't need FEMA or the state to tell me that there was a natural disaster when houses were setting down the river, when bridges were gone, when people were wading through the river that had been there for 4 days and couldn't get out at all. because they had no way out and the road was gone. I didn't need that. I realized there was an emergency. I've been doing this long enough to understand what an emergency is. I don't have a problem allotting that money for an emergency and just for emergencies, Doc, because what that does is it gives the mayor, gives the council, it gives Joe the right, when the necessity is there, when the need is there. If there's dead bodies in the street, for God's sake, we need to get them up. We really need to get them up, and I don't need anybody to tell me, or I don't need the council to say, hey, you know, we need to vote to move those bodies. They need to be done. If
I don't
my
think
family's
anybody-
laying in the river,
Nobody's arguing with you.
No, no, we're not arguing about that. We're simply just asking what is the process, what is the procedure, how do you determine it's an emergency, and who has the authority to determine that?
Well,
I
I
mean,
think you as the mayor will determine if there's dead bodies in the road that we probably need to do
So
something
d-
on.
Well, actually, the council makes the decisions on all
okay, I'm
money.
sorry. Well,
but-
never
so-
mind. The
she-
council would make that decision if
she
there's
is-
dead
That's right.
bodies in the road.
She's the
They'll make,
administrator.
the council makes the decisions on the spending of
course.
money outside of the
Okay.
purchase
I
and what the
completely
purchasing is.
understand
So,
that.
so if
Completely
that's the
agree with
case, Angie, then are you guys gonna call a special call meeting to declare the emergency? And are you is that part of the resolution? And are you going to allot what you're going to purchase, and how's that going to coincide with the purchasing policy?
I would hope to God that if something like that happened, this council and mayor could get together and decide that we have an emergency and we're gonna do whatever we need to do to help the people in this city.
Well, that's
If
what
we
I'm
can't do
saying, so
that-
I guess
if we
why do you
can't do
need a
that, we need to go
resolution
home.
to say that? If you know that we're going to do that, why do you need the resolution to say it? And you're handicapping all this 500,000 up to $1 million.
I don't-
It's being handicapped.
I don't know why
Well-
we're even arguing about this. I'm trying to
Well,
do something to help
okay,
just
well,
the people.
wait.
Let me just clarify just a couple of things, because the questions come up. The resolution as drafted would require the governor to declare a state of emergency for Fannin County. That's what would trigger the ability of the council to spend this money. So what is an emergency is defined in the resolution. Purchasing policy would still apply, but the council could make the decision to use these funds for other purposes. The flip side of the same coin is also true in that the council could next month adopt a different resolution that earmarks this money for a different purpose. So it's still, just as the capital improvements and contingency fund is subject to change by the mayor and council at a meeting, if adopted, the emergency and disaster response fund could also be changed at another meeting. So, just to clarify those couple of points,
And you wrote this one, didn't you?
I did.
I have a question too, like we can always check to see what other cities, are doing and how they have it set up too. So even if this, say we pass this and then check in with other cities to see exactly what they're doing. I know I've called Woodstock and asked them about their downtown, if they've had like a mass shooting downtown, do they have something in place? I feel like, we can see what other cities have set up, to put the guidelines on it later, right? Like if
Is this a first reading?
This is just a resolution. It's not even an
Okay. All right,
ordinance.
just-
Okay.
Yeah.
Just kind of
Yeah.
straighten me out here, guys.
Okay.
So we got a first and a second. I guess we need to vote, or
Okay, you guys,
Everybody's
are
finished
you
talking?
guys completed with your discussion?
Well, let me ask something about this contingency fund. I thought that the city had to have a contingency fund. Do they have to? I thought that you had a percent each year, you had to set back for that. Is that not correct?
I'm not aware of it. I'm not saying it's not the case. I'm just.
Oh, when I was on council before.
Most
contingency
things
for
have a
emergencies or whatever.
reserve fund, you
should
could
have
call
a
it.
Thumbs up
reserve.
again.
You could call
We
it-
make a motion to.
Okay,
take
never
for
mind,
another
I'm good,
minute,
I'm
or-
Did you make the motion?
You got something
I'm
else?
good, let's just move on, yeah.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, let's vote. We've got a motion, second on the floor, we'll vote. Bill Bivens,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Jack,
yes.
Angie,
Yes,
and Dr. Whaley.
Yes.
Okay, so that will go into effect. And Christie, that's a good suggestion. We will look into other cities, what they're doing, and check on that, and I can help Joe with that next week, Joe. That can be
I wanna-
another project for us, so.
I want to thank the city council and the mayor for pushing this through, because it really means something to me.
Okay.
It's
thanks for
something we
bringing it
can do to give back to our citizens in our town to make sure they're okay. Thank you.
up. Okay, so the next topic is the budget preparation calendar. And I just wanted to I wanted to present this so that you guys will mark your calendars for the dates that we've given. November, what I will be doing is getting you guys the prepared budget. There's a rough draft, I think, circulating around, but I'll get you guys the final budget. And then I really guess I need to take this into consideration also with the budget. So we may do some fine tuning there. We'll advertise November the 1st. And that will be something Joe will do as city clerk for the meeting. November the 1st also, it will be submitted to you, the final version of what I want to present to the public, and what you guys will decide upon, whether you want to keep it, modify it, and then you'll vote on it, however you want to do it. On November the 12th, the week prior to our regular scheduled meeting, we will have a budget hearing and workshop meeting. And just as we did last year. And then the following week, we will approve, or you can modify however you want to. At that point, after I present it to you, it's up to you to choose what you want to do with it. You can change it however you want to. But my job as mayor is to present it to you. So by the 19th, I want you guys to be prepared to actually vote on something, whether it's what I present to you or what you choose to vote on yourself, whether you choose to modify it, whatever. But I would like to have it because our fiscal year will begin January the 1st, and we need to have that in place. So just make sure you're aware of all these dates so that we can get that going.
I don't see that schedule in my packet, and
Okay.
the,
Should
So
be
you
the
want
last
email?
page, Doc.
well,
Is it in there?
Yeah, did you not, is it not on our
it's
screen?
also not on our screen.
Yeah, I didn't see it on the
Pass it.
screen. Yeah, it's a little.
There you go, Doc.
Go through.
Yeah, just make sure.
Pass me down one too,
I
please.
don't know, I just gave you mine.
Yep, 6 p.m. I think we'll do 6 p.m. That works
Thanks,
for
Joe.
you, Dr. Whaley, doesn't it, 6 p.m. for the
The
budget
pu-
hearing?
The public hearing and the workshop on the 12th of November.
Mm-hmm.
That is two separate items, or is it gonna be a workshop where the public can
So
watch like they
it
did
will,
last time?
just like we did last year, we'll first have the public hearing, and then as soon as we've had the public hearing, we will have a workshop so that we can all discuss it. Last year, we did the public hearing out here and went into the back
We
for the,
did, but we
yeah.
let the public come in and watch the workshop.
they did,
Yeah,
yes.
workshop.
Yeah.
And I think we had somebody there, maybe it was just Eric, I don't remember, but
Yeah, Eric was there.
will we have some sort of a financial expert
Yes.
that's more expert than you?
Yes, you
I just
will.
hate to say that. but
You
I mean,
will, so you will, yes, please, because I am certainly not that. All the department heads, first of all, will be there. They have been part of this process.
Correct.
I'm hoping that if I need James to join us, because he has helped with that he might join us by phone or by Zoom, if we have any questions for him on it as well. So,
And that's the consultant that's helped you so far?
actually, no, that's finance, the old finance director. the one who's
Okay,
been-
and lastly, would,
Trip Ritchie, I hope will help because he has been consulting. He started consulting with the police department, and then I took Rob's lead on that and he asked him to help with the rest of it. So I'm hoping Trip will join us. Do you think he will, Rob? Okay. Okay,
okay,
that sounds good. So, but I will certainly see if he will.
all right. And would there be any need to ask Mandy to be available by Zoom or something?
Yes, and I did speak with her yesterday, and she said she will be available for
Very
us.
good. My only
Yep.
concern is it's just us and
Yeah.
none of us are finance.
Yep, no, no.
experts. Okay, I'm
And
happy.
And I certainly hope that James will join us
I'm
in the
happy,
previous,
thank you.
yep. So we will make sure they're all available. Okay, so that's the last thing on that. So I guess we have public comments. If you have a comment, just come up to the mic. You'll have 3 minutes. Please speak clearly into the mic so that we can hear you. And you don't have to give your name anymore, so, yeah. Caesar, make sure you're talking into the mic, so.
Hello. I just want to address the city council meeting that we had, the special call meeting last month in September. where they talked about the resolution for rules and procedures for investigative hearings was presented to this council. Listening to how that all went down, the fact that that resolution was given to the council members on a Friday for a Monday special called meeting, and that the importance of that resolution, where basically 3 members of the council can vote an elected official off the council, is a pretty important piece of legislation. And the fact that 2 members of the council basically said they didn't have a whole lot of time to read that, or to explore, or question, or talk to a lawyer. And this council, or actually the 3 members who were here, well, Christie was here as well, Angie and Jack and Bill, refused to let the tabling of that conversation go through. You had 2 members who objected and wanted further time to read, discuss, ask the lawyers questions, which is a completely reasonable thing to ask. In fact, it's been granted to almost everybody on this council at one time or another, where you've asked to have something tabled so you could do more research. It was, in my mind, a slap in the face to both Christie and Bill by not letting them table the discussion. But it doesn't surprise me, because there was no other conversation. Jack didn't discuss anything. Bill didn't discuss anything. I know Angie talked a little bit about it, mostly to make sure it got passed. The bottom line, Christie, because you asked the question, and Bill, you did on the phone as well, is it didn't matter whether it was tabled, because they weren't interested in your opinion. They'd already decided how they were going to vote. For 3 minutes? How about the minutes that I wasn't granted in July? Can I use those?
If the council will allow you to have more minutes, does anyone make a motion to allow Caesar to have more time?
How about just 2 minutes?
Is there a motion?
How many minutes, Caesar?
You tell me. I think in July, they cut me off after 1 minute.
Well, I make
I
a
should say
motion, we
Angie cut
extend,
me
I
off.
make a motion, we extend the speaking time by 2 minutes and 17 seconds.
Okay.
Where's the 17 seconds from?
It just pulled it out of the
Is there
air.
a
Just
second?
for fun.
Is there a second?
Caesar, I'm gonna give you 2 minutes and 17 seconds.
Okay, he's second. All in favor, raise your hand. Say aye. Okay.
Oh, good. I probably won't need all 2.
Well,
But-
you got it, you better use it.
I'll try to. I think it was a show of complete disrespect for both you, Bill, and Christie, that you weren't allowed to table that so that you had time to look at it. But like I said, it didn't matter what you were going to say. It didn't matter what you were going to say, because they had already decided how they were going to vote. That continued when they decided to take Dale Green off the Planning Commission. When both of you asked why, there was no answer, except for Bill saying he didn't need a reason why. But there again, it didn't matter what you thought. It didn't matter what the answer was going to be. The bottom line is they'd already decided how they were going to vote. And they were going to vote to remove him. And they were going to vote to put Angelina Powell on. So, bottom line is, they didn't care. They had the 3 votes to move forward. So it didn't matter what you had to say. It didn't matter what the answer was going to be. That's why they never gave one. Because bottom line is, that's what they wanted to do, and they did it. I just want to say, this is a dangerous thing for this council. And it's not, in my opinion, how this city's council should be operating. I think it's not good for the city, and I think Blue Ridge deserves better than that. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else?
Good evening, City Council and Madam Mayor Hayes. I want to thank y'all for having me here tonight. Earlier in the meeting, you said you get what you pay for. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for dropping your lawsuits against the city and everyone. I've heard that. Is that true? Okay. So I want to thank you for doing that. But the taxpayers still have to pay the $100,000 from that. So they paid for it. What did they get from it? Is your ego worth $107,000? Thank you.
Okay, yes, please, next. Are you finished? Here, yes, he is, he sat down. Okay, Ginger.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to mention something about the disaster relief. Saturday morning after the storm hit Asheville, my son actually lives up there. And he was able to make his way down to, he heard from a neighbor that they were giving away free passwords for Starlink in downtown, and that's the only way I knew if he was okay. And this is how cut off they were from the world at that time. They couldn't call, it was only text. He said, I don't know if you know this or not, but Asheville got hit pretty hard. And that's all the news had been talking about for 24 hours, right? But they didn't know. They didn't know that the rest of the world knew how devastated they were there. And he said, he texted me back and he said, I don't have any food, I don't have any water, I can't get gas. And he said, if this goes on much longer, I got to figure out a way to get out. And I texted him back and I said, give me an hour and I'll be on my way. So I called all the contacts I had, the mayor, several other people, and I said, I don't need a guarantee that I can get there. I just need somebody in authority to tell me, if you're gonna try to go there, what's the best route that would give me my best chance of getting as close to him as I could. Here is what I know. Everybody wants to put money aside for disasters, but I can tell you after what I witnessed there, that of course they needed food, they needed water, electricity, they needed gas, but above and beyond everything else, they needed communication. They could have been giving away gas 200 feet down the road from where my son lived and he wouldn't have known it. They were cut off from any kind of information. That meant their mayor could not talk to their EMS people. The EMS people could not talk to it was like living in a black hole. So when I came back, thank God everything, turned out good for us. I know it didn't for a lot of people. But I would tell you this, is that I came back knowing that every official, elected people, EMS people, fire departments, doctors, any rescue personnel. I'm sorry.
Would you like more time?
Let's give her some more time.
Okay, is there a motion?
You
So
got it.
move.
Second.
Yep.
All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
As if it were me spending my money, my hard-earned money. I think that's crucial that people invest in something like a Starlink system to keep their communications going whenever the infrastructure disappears. Because their infrastructure disappeared. It's like, we can't put up another power pole on the side of the road because the side of the road is no longer there. The road's no longer there. But with these link systems that don't require anything hardwired, is that your emergency people can still talk to each other. And that gives confidence to the people that are struggling. And when I was on my way back, thank God, I got in, I got out. We were on our way back, going down 74 from Waynesville to Cherokee. I passed a convoy going in towards Asheville of at least 15 FEMA and emergency response trucks. They were getting in there as quick as they could, but they had no communication, and I really feel like that would have been money well spent, is to not, you can't prevent a disaster, but you might be able to do something that will help you out whenever it happens.
And Ginger, I do want to say one quick thing. When you mentioned this to me the Saturday after the disaster, after Helen, and I came back and met with, I sent Joe and Rob emails of what you had suggested, and so we are working on getting that, because I do feel, after listening to your story, communication is key, and even if you have a central place, and that's what I was telling them, if it's at the police station, at least where our citizens know they can walk to the police station, get on the Starlink, let their loved ones know we're okay, just like your son did, but that was his only way to communicate, or you never would have known that. So I know that Joe and Rob are working on it, and I appreciate you giving us that, because maybe that can help us in the future too.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
I know that they're having a discount, because I had started researching it too. They're having a discount at Costco for like, I think $200 on Starlink right now, if anybody has a Costco membership. But they also have something that some of the bigger units will do 13 miles. So it will cover 13 miles on some of the bigger ones. And I think the fee is like $150 a month, and you can cut it off if you're not using it.
Well, I think that's great.
Let me help everybody. The only communication I had was called Zoleo. It's a little square box about that big. It's a satellite uplink. They're $200, and you can communicate by text. I also have a sat phone that I communicate with. It wouldn't be a bad idea for the city to purchase a couple of sat phones, honestly, to
What
have.
are satellite phones?
They're satellite phones,
Okay.
yeah. But Zoleo is a little green box that you can charge. Mine has been out for 5 days because I wanted to see how long it lasted. It's just a square box. It hooks to your cell phone, and you can text from there. I didn't have a bit of problem communicating. I had problems communicating with anybody in that area. But had I known your son was out there and could have found him, I could have texted you and told you your son's fine. They got an unlimited plan for $50 a month. The purchase of the box is $200. It's called a Zoleo. And you'll never lose communication because it's satellite uplink.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Joe, did you get all that? You're working on it, aren't you? And Christy too. Thank you guys. That's good. Yeah, I think, when we can come together and work together for the better of our community, that's a wonderful thing. And really be prepared for what could possibly happen at any time, because it is scary. Who would have ever thought Asheville? Okay, is there anyone else who has a comment?
Well, I would like to address what I call the elephant in the room about the Dale Green dismissal. Yes, we know that he was dismissed for no cause, that you three decided to give us any cause. This man has done a lot of work in this town, Toys for Tots, and you absolutely dismissed him with no explanation. Not only that, there were 2 seats or 3 available. So you dismissed him and put on someone else in a seat that she could have been put on, didn't need to dismiss Dale. Now, this is going down a dangerous path, Angie. It's a dangerous path that you can dismiss anyone you want for no reason. What does that sound like? Does that sound good to you guys? You had to give a reason. You were vindictive. There was a vindictive reason. And if there wasn't, you would have given one. Did he do something dishonest? Did Dale do something dishonest? Did Dale do something shady? Did he not attend meetings when called? What did he do to dismiss him when there were plenty of seats left to put on, what's her name? I won't even mention it. So I want you to think about this. I want the city of Blue Ridge who are listening to this to think about it and demand that we have better representation in this town that is summarily take someone off that's a very viable part of this town with no reason at all. It is despicable and it's a dangerous path, and it seems to be getting worse.
Okay, so you want to talk about
Okay, Angie, that
dangerous-
is not part.
No, no, no,
Angie,
no,
I don't
y'all
want to
talk-
talk to
okay,
you
you don't
on
have to
this.
talk at all.
You can,
But a dangerous road to go down is a mayor suing
Angie,
the city.
you are despicable. Do not keep
That
talking
is your
about
opinion.
It is my opinion and many others. That is not what I got up here to talk about. It was accusing, it was telling that you and you and you have done something despicable to a very, very worthy man in this town. And it is unconscionable to many of us.
There's a lot of things.
Just go to sleep with that one and try to explain it. If you want to explain it, come right up here and do it, because I don't think you can. It was
Everybody has an
vindictive.
opinion.
It was vindictive. We all have our opinion. Oh, Jack, give
Okay.
me a break.
Okay, everyone, let's get this meeting under control, please.
Everybody has.
Actually, let me just say something. This type of thing wouldn't happen if you, as the presiding officer, would have it under control. You spoke when you shouldn't, so did everybody else, and so did I. So let's keep the meetings according to our policy.
And according to Chuck, I am in charge of running the meetings.
You're
and I
right, and
wanted-
you- and
I
you- and
wanted
you
to
also
say
have to go by the
that.
policy.
I wanted to say that, and actually, I can,
You have a
I
policy
can
to
veer
adhere
from
to.
the
We're
getting way
policy.
too loud here.
So,
Ladies, can we?
So, I
that-
mean, if we
you
if we
need,
could
Angie,
just
you need to get
conduct these
yourself
meetings
under
according to
control, and if you can't
policy,
get yourself under control, I'll ask for your
You need to follow the
removal.
policy and make everyone
Can you
else do
get
the
yourself under
same.
control? Please, thank you.
Okay,
Um,
I'm going to say the next meeting, let's call a point of order to anyone that violates the policy. That will be the appropriate thing. I've asked Chuck about it. That's the appropriate thing. So call a point of order.
Well, point of order.
Okay, very good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Is there anyone else? Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for being here.
You didn't call for a vote for the executive session?
Typically, you would say.
You have power where it turns off.